out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power?
Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber.
Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics.
We'll see where this ruling takes us.
These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Good evening. It's Labour's wobbly Wednesday, things not going well, and the Chancellor of the Exchequer in some personal distress during Prime Minister's Questions. We'll debate just how much trouble this government might be in. Apparently, we're going to have a genius one-in, one-out returns agreement with France. One in, one out equals, well, I don't know. I'm not sure anything's going to change at all, but we'll see. We'll also discuss a foreign baby boom where, amazingly, 40% of babies born in the country last year had one or more foreign parents, which means the country really is changing in quite a big way. But before all of that, let's get the news with Lewis Mackenzie.
Nigel, thank you very much. Good afternoon. It's just after 7 o'clock. Here are your latest GB News headlines. MPs have voted to prescribe Palestine Action as a terrorist organisation after the group targeted an RAF base and an Israeli defence company's UK headquarters. It means it will become a criminal offence punishable by up to 14 years in prison to be a member of the group or to support them, if any legal challenges by the group provide to be unsuccessful. Sir Keir Starmer's faced his first PMQ since a Labour rebellion forced a major welfare U-turn. Conservative leader Kemi Badenoch called it a humiliating climb down and accused the Prime Minister of weakness.
After last night's humiliating U-turn, we know he cannot control his MPs. They're cheering now, but you signed the amendment. You signed the amendment. Over 100 people signed that reasoned amendment until the bill was completely gutted. He said that he would take the difficult decisions, but isn't the reality that he is too weak to get anything done?
But Sir Keir Starmer hit back, blaming the Conservatives for the state of the welfare system.
Broke it. And it's the same as the NHS. What did they do? They broke it. Same as the economy. What did they do? They broke it. They broke everything that they touched. And now she describes the broken system that we are trying to fix. We're fixing it. We're clearing up the mess that they left, just like we're clearing up the NHS and the economy.
Sean Diddy Coombs has been found guilty of transportation for prostitution, but cleared of 2 further charges. The music mogul was found not guilty of racketeering and not guilty of sex trafficking ex-partner Cassandra Ventura and another woman referred to as Jane. But he was found guilty of transportation to engage in prostitution related to both women. He is yet to be sentenced. Murder Squad detectives have passed new evidence to prosecutors, raising the prospect of further charges against child killer Lucy Letby. The CPS is now reviewing the file, which relates to more baby deaths at hospitals where she worked. It comes as 3 former bosses at the Countess of Chester Hospital are arrested for suspected gross negligence manslaughter. Letby is already serving 14 life terms for murdering and attempting to murder babies between 2015 and 2016. The Ministry of Defence has confirmed the former head of the Royal Navy has been sacked following an investigation into his behaviour. An MOD statement said Admiral Sir Ben Key's behaviour was found to have fallen far short of the values and standards expected of the service personnel. In response, Admiral Key said he fully accepted the decision and was very sorry to those he hurt. A new report reveals the major fire that shut down Heathrow Airport was caused by a fault, first detected 7 years ago. Moisture was found in 2018 inside a key component at the North Hyde North Hyde substation, but maintenance was delayed and cancelled. Ofgem has now launched an investigation into potential licence breaches by the National Grid. Heathrow called the outage catastrophic and blamed a failure to maintain critical infrastructure. Well, those are your latest GB News headlines for now. I'm Lewis Mackenzie. More from me in an hour's time.
For the very latest GB News direct to your smartphone, sign up to News Alerts by scanning the QR code or go to gbnews.com/alerts.
Good evening. It has been a genuinely miserable 24 hours for the government. Huge concessions were made on the welfare bill, so much so that, frankly, it wasn't really worth the paper that it was written on, certainly when it comes to personal independence payments. And that means the so-called £5 billion they were hoping to save effectively had been wiped out, leading, of course, to lots of speculation about looming tax rises coming up in the budget in a few months' time. It seemed overnight that the Prime Minister's authority had waned quite considerably. And then, at Prime Minister's questions, the Leader of the Opposition, Kevin Badenoch, was asking the PM questions about how long the Chancellor would last. And watch this and see if you can spot the demeanour of Rachel Reeves.
In January, he said that she would be in post till the next election. Will she really?
She certainly won't. Mr. Speaker, I have to say I'm always cheered up when she asks me questions or responds to a statement, because she always makes a complete mess of it and shows just how unserious and irrelevant they are.
How awful for the Chancellor that he couldn't confirm that she would stay in place.
Well, that was Kevin Badenoch putting the boot in, as you would expect, given what had happened over the last 24 hours. What perhaps you could see, or maybe not fully see, was when Reeves walked into the chamber, the Democratic Unionist Party member for Parliament sitting next to me, she said, "Look at Reeves, she looks ill." I thought, goodness me, she looks terrible. And then as the 35 minutes went on, she several times had to wipe away tears. It was actually, sitting opposite, quite difficult to watch. I thought, well, I don't know, maybe there's been some personal family bereavement or something horrid's happened in the last few hours. Afterwards, Number 10 immediately refused to confirm or deny whether it was personal or not. Rachel Reeves' office said it was a personal matter. Then as the day's gone on, it turns out that the Speaker of the House wasn't very happy with her yesterday in terms of the way she answered questions. And the closest to the truth that I think I've been able to get is that as Reeves was coming into the chamber, the Speaker did have a word with her about, just to remind you what I said yesterday, keep your answers a bit shorter so we can get more members in when we've got Treasury questions and matters of that nature. And then speculation runs rife all through the afternoon that prior to that, there'd been some huge argument with a member of the Cabinet. I don't know the truth of that anymore at this moment in time than you do. I suspect by the time the Sunday newspapers come out that we will all know. But it just had a feeling, this wobbly Wednesday, just had a feeling that something really was going badly wrong. Certainly, never again glad, confident morning, but just how much trouble is the government in? Love your thoughts on that. Please tweet #Farage on GB News or email farage@gbnews.com. I'm joined in the studio by Kwasi Kwarteng, former Conservative Member of Parliament and former Chancellor of the Exchequer, and Scarlett Maguire, former Labour advisor. Kwasi, you had quite a tempestuous time.
Of course.
Did you cry?
Never.
Did you?
Even when I was sacked, I didn't cry.
But did you feel down?
Yeah, I mean, look, this is the rough and tumble of politics.
It's rough, isn't it?
Yeah, and you've been at high levels in politics, not yet in government.
Yeah.
You may enjoy that at some point in the future, who knows? But I think, if you're a senior cabinet minister, a prime minister, dare I say, you're going to be under huge pressure. And the real trick of it is actually to try and keep as composed as you can. I mean, some of your viewers will know Kipling and if you can keep your head and all that sort of business. And in politics, that's really, really important. I was surprised that she cried. I suspect there are personal things going on.
Well, there may be. I mean,
who knows?
I mean, Scarlett, do you know any more about this?
I don't know any more. I just think this is just awful tittle-tattle. I mean, so Rachel cried, right?
Yes.
We don't know why. We don't know why. We know that she was upset about something. Isn't that enough? I mean, she's a human being. She was upset about something. When you were upset, you didn't cry. I don't know whether she's had a bereavement or not, but I just think that what happened was I mean, you know, that's her. And I'm sure she's incredibly embarrassed. She is somebody who keeps her composure all the time. She's very, very keen on it. Very few people see the sort of Rachel that those who know her well know her. And I just think, I mean, what are we saying? That she's not allowed to do it? She did it.
I mean, maybe what we're saying, maybe what we're saying is that, frankly, it's been, and if it is a personal bereavement, then I'm sorry. But frankly, it's been pretty obvious since day one that her CV was false and she's not up to the job.
I think this has got nothing to do with that, Nigel. I just think that something happened. We have no idea what, and we have no idea why she was upset. And she was upset. I mean, sometimes things get away from us, right?
Look,
that's all I'm saying. It's got nothing to do with her being Chancellor.
Okay, there's more going on. She was supposed to have a welfare bill that was blown out of the water, frankly. She's got to find £5 billion more in the autumn budget. She'll probably have to raise taxes. There's been huge pressure. I mean, I've been there. I haven't been a whip, but I've been involved in the kind of whipping operation when I was what's called a parliamentary private secretary. They'd have been ringing MPs every hour on the weekend saying, please, please, please vote for the government. That's stressful. You're on the call to close parliamentary colleagues. They're saying, we're not going to vote for you. It's been a very stressful time.
Yes, but what I'm trying to find out is what you two are saying. That the fact that she... And it was only tears. She didn't make a fuss, right? She just had a tear rolling down her face. And that means she's not up to the job?
No,
I mean, I just think this is crazy. I think this is crazy.
Her record is dire. She lied about her CV. She's not qualified to do the job.
Come on, Nigel. She slightly exaggerated something.
Slightly?
No, it was
a wild exaggeration.
There were some exaggerations, but I'm trying to be as compassionate and fair to her as possible.
All I'm saying is I don't say, of course it was stressful. What she's been through is incredibly difficult.
And actually, most of her predecessors, all of her predecessors, have been through similar moments, and you've got to keep it together. Yeah, and the fact that she didn't says to me there's a wider problem within the government, her relationship with the Prime Minister, particularly her relationship with the backbenchers. Is that unfair?
It is unfair.
Why?
You have no idea. You have no idea. I mean...
Well, you're saying I have no idea what the stress is.
I have no idea about her. No, I know, Kwasi, and because you're a man, you didn't cry when she sacked you. Nobody sacked Rachel, right?
No, exactly.
But I know, just a minute, I know that there are times, it happens to me very rarely,
it's nothing to do with being a man. It's nothing to do with being a man.
No, but you're doing this. What I'm saying is the fact that she didn't make a fuss, the fact that a tear rolled down her cheek somehow makes her weak. I don't think it's a sign of weakness. I think it's a real shame. I think it shows that something was not happening. It's got nothing to do. It's got nothing to do with how she is as a Chancellor. Maybe it's a symptom
of what has become a pretty dysfunctional government.
I agree with that.
What's going on?
The endless U-turns, they would have had a very stressful weekend.
Kwasi,
I can believe
you talk to me about a dysfunctional government. You were in.
Yeah, but I didn't cry.
Were the Chancellor.
I didn't cry. I never cried.
Great. Maybe it would have helped if you had. You were in the most dysfunctional government.
I think Scarlett's right.
I never cried. Maybe I should have done. Maybe you're right.
No, I'm just saying, crying is neither here nor there. And when I get lectures from the Chancellor of the most dysfunctional government I have ever seen, a leader who was... So you were sacked and then she had to go. She didn't even last longer than a lettuce, right? Okay, and then we have Rachel.
Now, here's a big point. Did Starmer today, in the answer that he gave, effectively tie his own political future to her?
They always do. All prime ministers, my own experience, amplified that. But if you look through history, most prime ministers...
have to do that.
Of course they do, especially in the modern era. Yeah. And it's, we all say, well, the Chancellor did this, the Chancellor did that. Number 10, there isn't a comma in the mini-budget. There wasn't a comma in the number 10 didn't sanction. So the minute he gets rid of her, he is totally in the firing line. And I think he's smart enough to realise that.
But I do think that it isn't always true. I mean, with Blair and Brown, they were not. They
were in lockstep, and then Brown got rid of him. Blair was never powerful enough to get rid of Brown. He wasn't.
No, but Blair was the leader.
He was.
Right, he was the leader. And he did things that Brown didn't like.
But Scarlett, I mean, it's 25 years ago, and we know that Blair won the election. He won with a big majority. Starmer won with a big majority. Blair had the longest honeymoon that I've ever seen, certainly in my lifetime.
That's right.
And Blair exuded confidence, and Brown made us think that somehow no more boom and bust,
all of that stuff.
and they barely sold the gold, but they barely got. They really went through year after year without any big problems.
Oh, no,
what is clear about this
Nigel, that you forgot there were rebellions, right? People were terribly unhappy. Iraq was a disaster.
But that was a few years on.
No, I'm actually thinking about the one-parent benefit that they went and got rid of because
but they were able to do it. But the point is,
there was a rebellion.
They were in control of that policy,
but they had huge support.
They didn't need to U-turn.
I remember one week, I was a student at the time, since the late 90s. I remember opening the newspaper and the Labour Party won 60% on the polls. 60%. In the opinion polls.
Well,
today the government's on 23 or 24.
My point is that we're not, we haven't yet reached even the first anniversary, and this government is in big trouble, isn't it?
No, I think
Really?
No. I think what's happened actually is really, really good. Is finally, it's like
it's not really good.
It's bursting the bubble. No, because actually the whole welfare thing. I mean, it was wrong from the beginning, right? Actually, Jonathan Ashworth, as the shadow person, should have said, welfare is a complete mess. We are going to have a review as soon as we get in. And that's what should have happened. And actually, the way they did it was totally topsy-turvy.
But whether it's welfare, whether it's statements on mass migration and the boats, he literally is U-turning on everything. And I get the feeling the country now realises this man doesn't believe in anything.
Oh, that's totally wrong. Well, of course,
U-turns.
Of course you would agree
I would say
with
that.
him.
Of course I would say that.
Of course you would say that.
But look at the evidence. Let's look at the facts. There have been 4 U-turns in the last 6 weeks. So there was a U-turn on the winter fuel payment. There was a U-turn on a national inquiry on grooming gangs. There was a U-turn on the welfare bill that got through, totally gutted yesterday, totally defanged, as it were, yesterday. And there's been a U-turn on his Island of Strangers speech. Yeah. So when he said the Island of Strangers, that was a very definitive statement. And then he said, oh, no, I didn't realise that it was...
I hadn't read it properly. What is he, a parrot? Is he a parrot? Does McSweeney write it all out? He just goes up and reads it.
And then he said, I deeply regret... This is a major policy statement from the Prime Minister.
I know,
And then he totally...
I know, and I didn't agree with it at the time.
In 5 weeks.
So why did he do it? Why did he do it? Why say something as declaratory? And that really was...
Emphatic. It was very clear, controversial. And actually, Ed Balls pointed this out. They were defending his line. The government and ministers were defending the Island of Strangers speech for 2 weeks. And now he suddenly said, oh, I didn't read the speech, I didn't know what it meant.
The problem is, it was a mistake. It was a terrible mistake. But actually, that's what we're used to. I remember under Boris's leadership, how many Tories used to go out, defend what had happened, and then they changed their mind.
It doesn't matter how utterly chaotic the last 14, or at least the last few of the 14 years were. We're talking about now, and it is a shambles. I'm going to draw a truce.
I think it will change.
I'm drawing a truce on this debate.
I think it will change. You will see, Nigel.
She's not going to because it's my programme. In a minute, we'll talk about the type of young men crossing the English Channel. Once again, the ISIS threat begins to appear. And what does the one-in, one-out returns agreement with France? What's it actually going to mean? Will it make any difference at all?
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently.
It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it?
It's explosive.
I mean, this is very good.
It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial.
And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born.
It's everything you need to kickstart your evening.
Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it.
That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
Bishopsthorpe Road, it's on the verges of York City Centre, and it was once crowned the best high street in Britain, but there is a new issue facing it, and that is?
The cost of parking. It's increased by, wait for it, 500%.
And they've done that overnight without consultation, right?
Yeah.
So it now costs £4.85 an hour, right? And what's that going to do? It's going to stop people visiting.
It's going to drive people away.
Anna, it's not easy to get around York, I have to say. You know, one road in, one road out type thing, congestion around the place. Yes, there's car parking spaces, but goodness me, I mean, this is obviously very, very controversial, and these are the sort of taxes, indirect taxes, that come on all of us. It's now going to cost us so much money just to get there, just to see there. Tell us more.
That's right, Eamon, and the City of York Council have introduced this to try and reduce congestion, to try and get more people on buses.
Extra things like this just mean that it's been unprepared, but also it just adds up, and it then stops you from doing other things. And then, you know, for people that haven't got enough money to eat and to, you know, to look after their kids and things, I think it's disgusting, to be honest.
Thank you for speaking with us this morning, Karen. Really appreciate it. The council say that they are going to review these charges. They're going to look at them every 3, 6 and 9 months and start engaging with the local community to just see how fair these prices are.
OK, Anna Riley.
Where are you parked this morning, Anna?
We're parked here, £22.50 it's cost us.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Dubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
It's tough. So some of your thoughts on how much trouble this government is or is not in. Claire says, this is what happens when a person's aspirations exceed their abilities. Is she referring to Starmer? Is she referring to Reeves, or both? I'm not sure. Robert says, not to worry. If Reeves goes and the next Chancellor lurches to the left, the IMF will be rushing through the door. I think the IMF... And by the way, we did see today on the markets, we saw 10 and 30-year yields jump. We saw the pound fall by about 1%. Not hugely dramatic moves, but there is something of a trend there. An anonymous GB News viewer says, my question is, if she was emotional for whatever reason, why was she there without sorting it out first? And I couldn't agree more. If you'd had a family bereavement or a real problem and you hadn't appeared in the chamber, the press would have accepted that and not given you a hard time at all. There is no way, in my view, what happened there was purely personal. Anyway, Patrick Christie's last night showed a video, which I'm about to show you, which is one of the traffickers showing ISIS videos. Let's have a look. There is little doubt there are many very, very bad and very dangerous people crossing the English Channel. Just a few weeks ago, 3 Iranian terrorists who were trying to blow up the Israeli embassy, who'd crossed by boat, were arrested. I've tried again and again, I've done it twice at Prime Minister's Questions, to say we should declare a national security emergency. And on ISIS, I gave a speech in the European Parliament in 2015, when I quoted ISIS saying they would use the Mediterranean to get their operatives into Europe. But no one seems to listen. No one seems somehow to care. And the numbers are going up and up and up. We are about 20,500 that have crossed the English Channel so far this year. It is completely and utterly out of control. But now there's a summit going to happen with President Macron of France, a one-in, one-out policy. I wonder, Scarlett, I am not raising any false flags here. I genuinely have talked since 2015 about the very serious national security risk. And now all we get is a one-in, one-out policy. This issue really hurt Kwasi's party in government,
100%.
really hurt them badly.
100%.
It's going to hurt Labour hard too, isn't it?
Yeah, but I think we need to... I think small boats are going to hit it. I do think the thing about ISIS, right? I mean, as you said, you raised it in 2015. Yeah. Since 2015... The terrorism that we've had has all been homegrown. I mean, we haven't actually had anybody coming in from the outside.
Well, we had 3 arrested the other week.
Yeah, and they do arrest and they do try and stop them, right? But actually the ones that succeed are homegrown. So
they're homegrown to a point. I mean, a lot of them were people who'd come through previous waves of migration. So, dare I say, the Manchester Arena bombing, I mean, they were Libyans. But they had
given refugee status.
That's right, and many of them, the father of the suicide bomber, was still in Libya, and there's an open question as to what degree he was orchestrating it. So it's not the case that they were homegrown in the sense that they were born and raised here and their parents were living here. That wasn't.
No,
the case.
but what I'm saying is that they're not. Is that you can't have it both ways. You can't say there are tens of thousands of people coming over in small boats. And the Libyans probably didn't come over.
Sexual offences in areas of migrant hotels, reports of sexual offences have gone up considerably. Whichever way we look at this, it's not good.
You can't defend it as a...
Of course it's not good. But the biggest problem, actually, is that the biggest way to stop people coming is to send people back. And what happens is that if they know that it takes 3 years to get processed, they come over. And actually, I remember back in the 80s, it was a few weeks. Right, and then they'd be put on the planes.
Actually, to be fair to the Labour Party, David Blunkett was very good at deporting people.
Well, yeah, but I also remember that when David Blunkett was Home Secretary, that he was. I mean, Calais has been an open wound for decades.
But not like this.
Well, everybody says not like this, no. and then it. But I mean, he was trying to do deals with the Red Cross. That was when we started trying to get the French, the people who go absolutely. Yeah. So I mean, I do think that there's people been coming across, and also, I don't know how many lorries come over anymore, right? But it used to be lorries. It was masses of young men in Eurostars.
The lorry problem is still there, but they have put a lot of security in place.
They've put a lot of security,
absolutely. And all sorts.
And so they move to something else, and that's the problem.
And equally, there are lots of people who come as students or on holiday who overstay.
Yeah, but the small boats is such an emotive issue.
Absolutely.
And the reason why it did very badly for the Conservatives, I mean, Rishi Sunak, I don't know what possessed him to say it, that we're going to stop the boats.
I know.
He said, we're going to... And I looked at it and I thought, does he mean stop them completely? Yeah. And apparently that's what he meant. And the optics of people, at home, watching people on dinghies coming into Britain, they're terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, that shows that a government has completely lost control.
And they chuck their iPhones and passports in the sea. We have no idea who they are. But what about this new one-in, one-out policy? Do we need to wait more to see what happens with Macron? Does it sound like a good idea?
Well, I mean, I think anything that we can do to try and work with Europe, instead of saying... I mean, the problem about... I know that you think leaving Europe was great, and I don't, and we will leave that there. But actually, one of the problems was that we could no longer send people back. The Dublin Agreement.
Hardly anybody went back.
But actually, we know that until we sort out the French coast, there's nothing we can do.
Do you know what? We've given the French £800 million.
Over 10 years.
We get photographs every day of the cops doing selfies and all the rest of it. And I'm not going to defend the French for 1 minute, but they are taking off from Gravelines in the east, now as far west as Burke. It's 100 miles away. Sure. They have hundreds of acres, square acres of sand dunes over there as well. It is literally impossible. You know, and you could have as many drones and infrared cameras.
But what are they doing with the money that we gave them? I mean, this is my fundamental problem with this, is that, as you say, we've given them 800 million over 10 years. Yeah. And the problem's got worse. Yeah. That's the bit I don't understand. And, you know, that was the Tories, that's under this new Labour government. What are they doing with the money that we're giving them?
Well, actually, they stop about a third of the boats.
But yeah, the problem's got worse.
Yeah, but they come back the next day. The same people come back the next day.
That's why they're talking. That's why it's the boats that have to be stopped.
Well, I tell you what, somebody who's been looking at this issue as long as I have, if not maybe even longer, is Sue Reed, Special Investigations Editor on the Daily Mail. And Sue, you've gone to Calais many times over the years. The numbers are getting bigger and bigger. Is anything going to stop this?
Well, if it stopped the benefits, I think it would do a great deal of good.
So is it still we're the magnet, we're the El Dorado?
Oh, totally. I mean, now we've got a situation where people are being deported out of Sweden and Germany, and they're coming to Calais because they're not going to go back to Sudan at that stage, are they?
So they get rejected by other European countries?
Yes. I've interviewed them in Calais. I've interviewed people who have left Sweden. I've interviewed people, Sudanese, only recently in a big 1,500 are living in Calais in one industrial unit, who have just come straight from Italy. Having been deported from Italy, they come straight to Calais. So we're now not only dealing with what we used to deal with in 2016 when I first looked at this and came through on a boat. Yeah. We were talking about a few that year, you know, and they were more genuine refugees. But these guys
you're quite right. It's clearly a lifestyle.
So we're now dealing with a band of people who've been deported for one reason or another.
And quite a lot.
And that could be criminality, it could be paedophilia, it could be
lots of
lots of things.
Crimes.
Yeah, cheating the system.
But it's clear to me, because if you go on Instagram or TikTok, any of those social media, they're just saying, look at Britain, it's amazing. Yeah. Why wouldn't you come here? Yeah. And if you're in a war-torn country, and I totally understand why they want to leave and come.
And as for Smash the Gangs,
but this is,
it's madness. I agree, but
they're not coming from a war-torn country. They're coming from safe countries.
Well, Sudan is...
They're coming through Sweden and Italy.
Okay, that's the point there.
But the Sudanese will have set off 4 years ago.
Sure.
You understand? The agents are going round their villages saying, you need to send your eldest child, boy, not girl, what was it, boy, to Europe. And they have set off 4 years ago, and the village have found the money, and the agent here, passed right through, is saying, if you don't pay the money when you get to the UK, we've got an agent in Sudan.
And of course, nasty people.
Very much so.
There have been some killings recently going on in Calais and around that area. So there's going to be a summit coming up very shortly with President Macron, Keir Starmer, a one-in, one-out policy. What difference will that make?
I can't see it making a shred of difference. I mean, this is... If you go back, I'm sorry to keep going back, but you have to realise how long this has been ignored. Yeah. This is 9 years. Successive governments, including your own,
absolutely,
who didn't see this coming. It went from a few boats in 2016 to scores in 2017 to hundreds in 2018. 2019, we were into the thousands.
Yeah.
And nobody really did anything.
And now it's completely out of control.
It is out of control, and an undercover guy from the National Crime Agency, I was talking to Christmas, we were exchanging Christmas, and he said, Sue, it's all over. And if that's what informants from the National Crime Agency say, then...
So, your reporting is excellent. I've read lots of your articles, but I just think that what would you do about it? I mean, it's all very well...
Stop the benefits and make sure you really... Look, I'm not saying there aren't real refugees there. They've made me cry. Families from Syria where their sisters have been taken by ISIS, taken from their doors.
Sex slaves and all that kind of business.
Believe me, but these guys, the majority, are not true refugees. I promise you, they're here for a better life.
Yeah, I get that.
And therefore, if you stop the money tree here, as everyone else has done in Europe now...
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, Denmark have
led the way on this, haven't they?
Sweden have gotten down to practically nil.
So essentially, your argument is that we're a honeypot and these people are attracted because of the benefits.
Well, wouldn't you
strong point, Scarlett?
Well, I think most of them come over to work, right?
Illegally? To work illegally?
No, because when Sue's right, they come for a better life, and what they want to do is work it.
But that's not the point Sue's making. I mean, the point that Sue is making is that our benefit system is so attractive. So if you're coming...
Yeah, and illegal working's very attractive.
Exactly. So you can get benefits, you can do a bit of moonlighting on the side, and
there is this lie being peddled that they don't get benefits if they're in the hotel. Well, they do, because they get pocket money, which I know might not seem much here, but it's a hell of a lot in the Sudan.
I'm going to have to stop this, but I tell you what, we'll get you back, Sue, over the course of this summer. You've done fantastic work on this over the last few years, and this summit's coming up very shortly. We'll see whether it makes any difference at all. In a moment, we'll talk Donald Trump and alligator Alcatraz.
Can't wait to get in that sea.
Lovely and warm.
Just like the feeling of having great travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
The European heatwave is set to continue, many areas seeing temperatures widely in the mid to high 30s, and this could be enough to trigger some thunderstorms across the Alps. But across Portugal, Spain, mostly settled, but still those intense temperatures starting to drop away from Thursday onwards. Some quite heavy showers across parts of Switzerland. These could bring some intense hail and also some frequent lightning. But as we move our way eastwards across the Mediterranean, mostly settled, plenty of sunshine and temperatures widely still in the mid to high 30s.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello there, good afternoon. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Any thundery showers soon easing away this afternoon, leaving a mostly dry evening and feeling a lot cooler and fresher compared to recent nights this week. But this afternoon, where we see the bulk of the showers, that's all due to this frontal system just moving away from the east and northeast of Scotland and England. So for a time still, yes, some heavy thundery showers soon easing away, and this should lead to a largely dry and clear night for most. But we'll soon see a return of the cloud and also some showery outbreaks just starting to move into the northwest, so pushing into western parts of Scotland and Northern Ireland through the early hours of the morning. But for many, a much cooler and fresher night to come, lows reaching around 8 degrees Celsius. Now, for many on Thursday, it should be a mostly dry and bright day, but it is going to be a very different story across northern areas. More clouds starting to push in from the west across Scotland, some showery outbreaks in particular across the west to start, eventually pushing their way eastwards. These could turn heavy at times. Fairly similar across Northern Ireland, but across the rest of England and Wales, a dry and bright and cooler start to the day. And this is where it should remain mostly settled through the morning and as we head into the afternoon. But we'll continue to see this unsettled weather push its way across Scotland, Northern Ireland, perhaps later just clipping some parts of northern England. And yes, some of these showers could be heavy at times, but it is going to feel a lot fresher in these areas. But elsewhere across central and southern parts, plenty of sunny spells, particularly as we head into the afternoon, and still feeling warm in the sunshine, highs reaching around 26 degrees Celsius. Through into the evening, we'll continue to see this north-south split in the weather, so unsettled across the north, cloud, outbreaks of showers, but across the south, it should remain mostly dry and settled. And we'll continue to see that theme on Friday, but the rain becoming more widespread on Saturday, but still remaining quite warm where we catch any sunshine.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Well, Patrick Christys was showing that ISIS video last night on his show. What's he got coming up at 9 p.m. this evening?
Yes, thank you very much, Nigel. Well, what an extraordinary day. I mean, we have a Prime Minister who appears to be spineless, inept, and I would argue actually quite personally cruel, and a Chancellor, which I regret to say, appears to be on the verge of a breakdown, very publicly. That is a problem for Britain, and it is also a problem for our economy, as the figures would lie out as well. Also, as well, I'm going to be talking about the rapid demographic change and the birth rate problems that we have in Britain. All that and much more, 9 to 11 p.m.
Patrick, thank you very much indeed. Now, let's go to Florida. Let's do a bit of Trump news, shall we? There's been a big new prison facility that Ron DeSantis, the governor, has built. It's right out in the middle of the swamps. This was Trump's comment on what's being known as Alligator Alcatraz.
They're fast, but alligators, we're going to teach them how to run away from an alligator, okay? If they escape prison. How to run away. Don't run in a straight line. Run like this. And you know what? Your chances go up about 1%.
Well, sorry, I can't help but laugh at that. But he also, the row with Elon Musk is now reaching absolutely epic proportions. This is what he had to say about Musk.
You might have to put Doge on Elon. You know what Doge is? Doge is the monster that might have to go back and eat Elon. Wouldn't that be terrible?
Well, don't upset the Donald. It's not worth it. Well, it was this tweet by Musk that I think did so much of the damage, making it absolutely clear that, he doesn't like the spending bill, and if it passes, he is going to set up his own political party, the America Party. Well, it's not that easy in America. I'm joined by Stephen Nekela, down the line, chairman of the Libertarian National Committee, which controls the US Libertarian Party, and Stephen is in Florida. I remember, Ross Perot 30 years ago, stood for the presidential election, got about 17%. You guys, the Libertarians and the Greens, you bash away, you fight every election. It's very, very difficult to get around two-party politics in America, isn't it?
It is. It's been difficult. And since Ross Perot ran and got 15% of the vote, the first go-around, 10% roughly the second go-around, the Republicans and Democrats have only worked in unison to put in barriers to entry for third parties to actually be able to just get on the ballot. So the Libertarian Party has been the most successful at maneuvering around those barriers and actually being on 50 state ballot access to be able to run candidates, run a presidential candidate, etc. The Green Party doesn't come close, and it's a difficult task. It's a difficult task. The cards are certainly stacked against us, and I think Elon's idea of going out and creating a new political party will only be fraught with very difficult times, because the infrastructure needed to be able to compete with the duopoly parties, it takes years to build, Nigel. It takes years to build the affiliates and to get the signatures and to do everything. So it's not an easy.
You've no need to tell me. I know all about you.
As you may very well know yourself.
I know all about it. But I just wonder, because Musk is, and one of the main reasons I've got you on, Musk is, of course, a self-declared libertarian. One would say libertine, I think, in many ways, given how he lives his life. So is he about to merge with you guys? Is this the big new story that's coming up?
Well, the door is certainly open. I'd certainly invite Mr. Musk, if he wants to talk about coming into the Libertarian Party and joining a true dissident political party, that I think there's no need to create an American Liberty Party that already exists. It's the U.S. Libertarian Party, and we align on free markets, capitalism, free people, and of course, as you know, our federal government is going through quite the time with a huge spending bill, the big beautiful bill, or as I call it, the big bloated budget, because it only adds $5 trillion to the never-ending debt, And I will say Thomas Massie, who's a Republican, who's a libertarian-leaning Republican, he's been crucified by the GOP for doing the right thing and standing up to this terrible bill. And he's caught in a lot of flack from Donald Trump and from his party, much in line with Mr. Musk. And so it's interesting to see them unite and see Elon actually funding Thomas Massie to try to gut this terrible bloated bill.
Wow. I have a feeling he's going to be with you before long. And you heard it here first. Stephen, thank you for joining us. Really interesting. What do you make of Alligator Alcatraz? I mean, you don't like him, but he is quite entertaining, Trump, isn't it?
Well, yeah, but I mean, you read about this thing, and basically it's cages with beds. I mean, he's not treating people as human beings, right? I mean, there is
but
a
the
real...
criminals didn't treat their victims as human beings.
Right, so this is what we should do to people in the jails. No, but you don't know. Kwasi,
he is going to deport.
You don't know who's
illegal immigrants. He's going to deport.
So illegal immigrants are not human beings.
They're going to be deported.
They're going to be deported. No, but this is. I mean, it really. What strikes me about Trump is it's all about hate, actually, and it's about these people are nasty. These people are nasty. I mean,
but some of them are nasty.
Of course, some of them are nasty.
So what are you going to do about them?
Oh, so
deport them. I mean, this is the bit where I think our liberal establishment. I don't understand where they're coming from. If people are here illegally and they do bad things, why can't we deport them?
I actually didn't say that. I said, why can't we treat... I'm saying, why can't we treat them as human beings? Why do we put them in cages? I think it's terrible.
Or we could put them in 4-star hotels, give them spending money, free health. I mean, look, maybe that's one extreme to the other. And
it is. I just think treating people like animals, right? In fact, treating people like you shouldn't treat animals is disgusting.
Well,
and I don't think it's good for anybody.
I'm drawing stumps. In a minute, Matt Goodwin's going to join us. I've got to separate this lot, Got to be a neutral umpire. Very difficult.
All right, I feel it's one against two.
And we'll talk about the foreign-born baby boom, all right?
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country. There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor. Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience, because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Okoye, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Well, Matt Goodwin, GB News presenter, coming up on the next show after me. But he's breaking a story today about the number of foreign-born parents to babies born in Britain last year. The numbers are quite big, aren't they?
This is actually quite shocking. So the Office for National Statistics have released this information showing what share of babies have at least one parent or both parents born outside of the UK.
Yeah.
Now, across England and Wales, it's 1 in 3. So 1 in 3 of all babies have at least one parent born outside of the UK. In England itself, it's up to 40%. In London, it's 84%. Now, people might say, well, hey, why does this matter?
Yeah.
Well, the answer is, by 2079, the foreign-born, people born outside of the UK and their immediate children, will be a majority in this country. So my question would be, OK, so if that happens, what does it mean for our shared identity, our sense of history, our collective memory? If most people in the country can only trace themselves back one generation, I think actually that is really,
But that's
really
changing
important.
already. I mean, I'm not saying it's a good or a bad thing, but that ship has already sailed. I mean, the culture is much wider, less focused.
Who asked for this? I mean, who?
Nobody voted for it. Nobody said.
Whenever did the Labour or Conservative parties say we're going to fundamentally change the nature of your country?
They never said that.
But
it's disgusting, isn't it?
I'm just amazed. So the current leader of the Conservative Party is among them. The last leader of the Conservative Party is among. I mean, I don't feel. I mean, I might not agree with them on anything. But I don't think they're fundamentally.
No, but it's a wider problem. It's not just the leader. It's not about me or Kemi Badenoch. It's about the wider culture.
Yeah,
and the issue that I have with it is that, yes, people have come from foreign countries, but our system doesn't make any attempt whatsoever to teach them about British values or British history.
So
that's another issue.
You said that you
just a minute. Would you like to define that? I have. You know, my children in school learnt about British values.
But a lot of people don't. They don't know who Winston Churchill is. They don't. You look at polls. I
do think the education system is letting people down.
They don't know who these people are.
And I actually think
they don't know who these people are.
In large part, Scarlett, the education system are ashamed of our history.
Of course, they should just. You know, you can't get a linear history of Great Britain from 1066.
And if you look at the countries where most of the foreign-born mothers are from, it's not European nations.
Well, it's Poland.
I'm sorry, Scarlett.
Romania.
Scarlett. Afghanistan, Iran,
India,
Pakistan, Nigeria, India. And so my question would be this. So take one town outside of London. Put London to a side. Take Luton. 75% of all babies born in Luton have at least one foreign-born parent, OK? Now, we're seeing the transplantation of cultures from places like Afghanistan, India, Pakistan to a town like Luton. My question to you would be, do you want the United Kingdom to look like Luton?
Because, you see, I think education changes it.
It doesn't.
No,
we know
I absolutely do.
It could.
So a friend of mine with children in Tower Hamlets, who is a practising Muslim, said that the school, he said the school might as well be a Muslim school, right? It's a state school, anybody can go there.
It might as well be a Muslim school.
And he said...
And you're happy with that?
No, and he said it's great. They do stuff about pride.
Wonderful.
Well, obviously you wouldn't. But no, he felt they are having a proper British education, right?
About Muslim pride. I mean, I know Muslim pride is great, but that isn't a British education.
No, well, they do an assembly about that. What he was saying is that actually he felt that it was a very, very good school and it taught them British values.
It might be a good school, but
it taught them British values. And I think that the biggest integration, and is that the children who come here, they come into school, they learn English, and they learn English cultural values.
A lot of them don't learn English. That's the biggest problem.
The children do.
For communities to work and function properly, there has to be a commonality.
Yeah.
And history and continuity is a very important part of that. And I think that's what really Matt's figures suggest.
Absolutely.
Is that those bonds are being broken completely. And if you don't know your next door neighbours, if you have no shared culture, it's just not a happy
But they don't, I mean, and it's not just indigenous British people, they don't know who Winston Churchill is. A lot of them, if you ask people under 30, they don't know who these people are.
Yeah,
so there's no common knowledge, there's no common culture, there's no shared memory.
The fact that
and it doesn't matter, I'm an immigrant. My parents were from the Gold Coast, now Ghana, but they knew about British culture, and that was a very important part of integration.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to give the final word of this programme to you, Scarlett.
Thank you very much. I think that we are making a fuss about nothing, and I really think... the thing that Matt didn't talk about is, for the first time, actually, the birth rate has gone up, and we are a country that needs young people.
Yes, and the point Matt's making is that it's a birth rate that's going up because of immigration. Anyway, there we are. I guess you're discussing this tonight.
Absolutely. A little bit of that and something else too.
Oh, my goodness me. He dares not tell us what the other thing may be for fear of causing an eruption within the studio. Well, that's enough of Wobbly Wednesday for me. It's been a pretty extraordinary 24 hours. I do really think they're in a bit more trouble, this government, than perhaps people realise. We'll see how it plays out over the course of the next few days. I'm back with you here in this very studio tomorrow, live at 7 p.m. But first, coming up, the all-important weather with Honor Criswick.
There will be a light breeze in the morning, leading to a warm front. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello there, good evening. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Any showers we've seen this afternoon soon easing away overnight, and it should stay mostly dry, feeling a lot cooler and fresher, particularly if you compare it to nights earlier in the week. Well, we'll see the bulk of the showers easing as across eastern areas of Scotland, northeastern parts of England, eventually allowing a ridge of high pressure to build. So for a time it should be mostly dry this evening, but low pressure never too far away, eventually dragging in more clouds, some further showery outbreaks into western Scotland, parts of Northern Ireland by the time we reach the early hours of the morning. But for most, it is going to be remaining dry. It's not going to be feeling quite as muggy or uncomfortable, lows reaching around 8 degrees Celsius in the north. Now, through the course of the morning, we'll eventually see conditions deteriorate from the west. Thicker cloud pushing in here, also some showery outbreaks. These could turn heavy at times, particularly across western parts of Scotland, and fairly similar across Northern Ireland too. We'll continue to see that cloud thicken up from the west, increasing the risk of showers. But elsewhere across England and Wales, it should be a dry start to the day and staying mostly settled too, particularly through the morning and into the afternoon, where we might just start to see some fair weather cloud bubble it, but it should remain dry, still warm in any sunny spells. But across Northern Ireland, parts of Scotland, eventually into the afternoon across northern parts of England, we'll continue to see those showers push through, at times merging into longer spells of rain, and it could be heavy. You may even hear the odd rumble of thunder. But for most, still warm in the sunny spells, highs reaching around 26 degrees Celsius in the south. Heading into Friday, still once again northern areas catching the cloud and outbreaks of rain as once again they swift their way eastwards. But elsewhere across England and Wales remaining dry and settled as high pressure takes hold here. But the rain is likely to become more widespread on Saturday, so an unsettled start to the weekend and then a return of sunny spells and showers as we head into Sunday. That's it from me. Bye-bye.
There will be a light breeze in the morning, leading to a warm front. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Imagine having an extra £1,000 to spend each week for an entire year. £54,321 in tax-free cash could be yours. Cash to spend however you like. £54,321 in cash could be landing in your bank account this year. For another chance to win £54,321 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news